Good morning, students. Today I am going to talk about conditional clauses. To start off, we'll do a small warm up. First, let me introduce myself. I am Untitled in-service advisor, Chilla. Now let's do this warm up. You need to underline the correct form of the verb. Please read the sentences and try to select the correct form of the verb. Well, I hope you have finished by now. Okay, dear students, let's discuss the answers now. First one, he usually goes to work by bus. Number two, they swim in the sea at the weekends. Third one, my friends bought a laptop last week. Fourth one, she will make a cake for my birthday. Fifth one, they have sung a song. I believe this knowledge will help you. Now, dear students, let's move on to our lesson, conditional clauses. Okay, let's look at the competency and competency level as well. Conditional clauses comes under competency 6 and competency level 6.10. Basically, conditional sentence has two parts. First, if clause, and the next one is the main clause. Let's look at an example. Will you please read the sentence? If we work hard, our country will progress. That is a conditional sentence. Look at the two clauses there. If we work hard, that is we call the if clause. Our country will progress, that is the main clause. Usually we call the if clause the subordinate clause, which gives you a condition. Main clause usually talks about the result. Let's look at some more examples later. Okay. Look at the next point. When the if clause comes first, you have to use a comma to separate the two clauses. That's very important. You remember that. Even in a conditional sentence, you can write the main clause before the if clause as well. Well, there are three kinds of conditional sentence. Let's look at them. We call them type 1 conditional sentences, then the type 2, then finally the type 3. So in your syllabus, there are three types of conditional sentences. Let's look at them. Type 1. Let me read the note for you first. Type 1 conditional sentences are used to refer to actions that are likely to happen. Okay, students, usually we use type 1 conditional sentences to talk about realistic situation. Realistic situation, don't forget that. So let's look at an example. Read it with me. If we play well, we will win the match. Look at the if clause and the main clause, condition, and the result is there. Let's now look at the structure of this type 1 conditional sentence. Usually, if clause has this component, if plus subject plus present simple verb. So when you write a type 1 conditional clause, you need to maintain this form. Let's look at the structure or the form of the main clause. It starts with the subject once again, and then will or can or an infinitive. So I hope you can remember the structure of the type 1 which talks about realistic situation. Okay, dear students, now let's do a small activity based on this type 1. You have to do this. Please match the clauses and form meaningful sentences. I'll give you 3 minutes for this. Okay, let's look at the answers. Did you select the right answer for the first one? Let's see. If I visit Trincomalee, I will bathe at the hot water springs. That is the answer for the first one. Let's look at the second one. If our team wins the match, they will be the champions. Answer for the third one. If Ruani comes to school today, the teacher will give her a role in the play. Fourth answer. If Kamal catches the 6 o'clock train, he will reach Kandy early. Final one. If you need money, I will give you a loan. So those are the answers for the first activity. Well, let's move on to this type 2. Type 2 usually talks about imaginary conditions. Will you read the note I have given you? Type 2 conditional sentences are used to refer to actions that are unlikely to happen. That is imaginary. So if you want to talk about an imaginary situation, you need to use this type. Okay, dear students, let's look at an example. If I won a lottery, I would go around the world. That's an imaginary situation. This sentence has a future reference as well. Look at the second one. If I knew his phone number, I could give him a call. Once again, an imaginary situation. Well, let's look at the structure or the form of the type 2 conditional sentences. Form. If clause. If clause consists of if, the conjunction, then comes the subject, then you have the past simple verb. Okay. Then the main clause. What is the component of the main clause? Okay, dear students, look at your screen. You can see the subject comes first, then could or would, then the infinitive. Well, this is the structure of type 2 conditional sentence. Well, let's look at another example. If I were a bird, even your subject is in singular, you can use were here. I would fly around the world. That is also an imaginary situation. Well, now let's do this activity as well. You will have 2 minutes to do this activity. You need to once again match the clauses to form meaningful sentences. Have you finished? Shall we look at the answers? Answer 1. If you drop the bulb, it would break. Number 2. If I knew French, I could work in France. Third one. If I had a ship, I would sail round the world. Fourth one, if my uncle had a motorbike, he would take me for a ride. Last answer, if he worked overtime, he could earn more money. Let's look at the type 3 conditional clauses. Type 3 usually talks about impossible condition. Will you please read the note? The condition cannot be fulfilled because the action in the conditional clause did not take place. Okay, let's look at an example. If he had told me the truth, here what does it suggest? He didn't tell me the truth. I would have helped him. He didn't tell me that I didn't help him either. So the meaning is he did not tell me the truth and I did not help him either. So let's look at the second one as well. If she had passed the exam, she could have got a better job. Now let's look at the form of the conditional clause. If clause. If clause has the conjunction if, then the subject had plus the past participle form of the verb. Past participle form of the verb. Let's look at the main clause. Main clause begins with the subject as usual. Then you have could or would. Then comes have, and once again you will have to use a past participle. I hope it's clear to you. Now we have completed 3 types of conditional clauses. I hope you remember the structures. Now let's do a small activity. Okay, please do this activity. You will have 2 minutes to complete the activity. Okay, let's discuss the answers. First one. If I were a millionaire, I would help the poor. If I had met him, I would have spoken to him. Third one. If he works hard, he will get a promotion. Fourth one. If the teacher did not come, we could play. Last answer. If they like the house, they will buy it. I hope now you have understood the conditional clauses. I just told you that there are 3 types of conditional clauses. For type 1 usually talks about realistic situation. I hope you remember the structure. And type 2 deals with imaginary situation. Finally, the third one usually talks about impossible situations. Try to remember the structure as well. Well, dear students, with that, I'm going to wrap up my session. Let's meet again with a new lesson. Until then, goodbye.